For more on the debt ceiling discussion, let's bring in our political panel. With me today is Katey McCutcheon, Vice President of Firehouse Strategies, and Quill Robinson, a GOP strategist. Welcome. Great to have both of you.
Thank you.
On this debt package, Katey, your assessment.
I mean, I think it's a win not defaulting. A default would be catastrophic for this country, and I think everyone's priority is to prevent that from happening. I think the White House did a really good job of not letting it go too far in the compromise. And look, when Republicans won the House in 2022 in the midterms, we know that we're going to have to compromise on certain things. We know we're going to have to meet in the middle, and we're not going to get everything we want. But I think the goal here is to prevent a default, and they did exactly that.
Sometimes the instincts in Congress are to vote right away because over time opposition can build. Do you anticipate, Quill, any drama getting this all over the finish line?
Well, we've seen some pretty strong opposition from members of the Freedom Caucus who've said that this does not do enough in the long run to actually bring down spending. But again, as Katey said, this is about averting the crisis in the short run. There also are some other interesting pieces in this package around permitting reform, which is vital for unleashing American energy, also addressing climate change. But I think that we'll have to see, and also I'm waiting to hear more from the Progressive Caucus because they certainly crossed a number of red lines for them in the principles that were released.
All right, let's talk 2024 from the Fox poll. President Biden's job performance, 42% approve, 58% disapprove. Katey, that must be troubling numbers for Democratic supporters.
I actually don't think it's troubling at all. I think we're so far out right now, and I think polling, as we've seen in 2015, Jeb Bush was ahead in the polling at this time. So I don't think it's alarming. I'm actually not worried at all. I think we're in a really strong position. Biden is going into this cycle with a long list of bipartisan accomplishments he's going to run on. And the fact of the matter is, he's the only person that's beaten Donald Trump. And unfortunately or fortunately, it's more likely that Trump will be the nominee.
All right, from the Fox poll, on the GOP side, Trump 53%, DeSantis 20%, Pence 5%, Haley 4%, Ramaswamy 4%. How do you assess those numbers, Quill?
President Trump still has a commanding lead of the field, even after Senator Scott and Governor DeSantis getting into the race last week. Look, President Trump has a very, very loyal base within GOP primary voters. He's also incredibly effective at trolling his opponents and making them look pretty bad. Yet that's very effective when it comes to the primary. What about the general election? I think that's what Republicans need to be thinking about. How will the GOP nominee speak to independent voters, suburban women, young people? They care about a whole different set of issues, and what works in the primary may not work in the general for Donald Trump.
Okay, to Texas, in an unusual political story, the vote to impeach the Attorney General of the state over bribery and corruption allegations. The vote was 121 to 23, including a majority of House Republicans. Next, it goes to the state Senate for trial, where including a senator happens to be the Attorney General's wife. But here's the argument for impeachment.
The evidence is substantial. It is alarming and unnerving.
Reaction from President Trump on Truth Social, missing in action. Where is the governor of Texas on his attorney general's impeachment? Katey, what's your take on it?
Well, you know, I think it shows a lot that after Donald Trump and Senator Ted Cruz threatened the Texas Republicans and told them not to impeach him, that they went ahead and impeached him anyway. A majority of Republicans did that. It shows how egregious these crimes are. So I'm interested to see how the trial goes, but I think that speaks volumes to Ken Paxton's crimes and how Republicans feel about them.
Quill, your thoughts?
This is a Republican-held legislature, and as you heard from Republicans in the legislature, that these were pretty serious accusations and things that went down with Ken Paxton. And so this is not the kind of thing that the Republican Party needs to be paying attention to right now. This is not something that 2024 candidates should be getting into. So yeah, it's a very difficult situation.
And to that point, do you see a divide between the President Trump MAGA crowd and other Republicans, and potentially benefiting Democrats?
I think a little bit, but I think I would assume that a lot of those Republicans in the Texas state legislature are Trump Republicans. They do support Donald Trump, and I think in large part, Donald Trump has supported them. So I think this part of it will play out in a weird way as the Republican primary base and Republican voters in general. The way that Donald Trump has split the party in certain issues is interesting. We'll see how it all plays out.
Okay, and next it goes to the state Senate, where Paxton's wife is a Republican state senator, so that makes for some political drama there. Republicans have the majority in the state Senate, but I guess we'll see how the trial plays out, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is internecine warfare that certainly does not look good for the Republican Party in Texas, and is not what the Republican Party wants to be talking about nationally right now either.
Do you expect, back to the debt deal, do you expect President Biden to come out and speak on camera soon about it, to sell it to his members?
I mean, I think we'll see after how the briefing goes tonight with the House Democrats and, Senate Democrats as well. And as the bill gets ironed out over the next couple days, if he needs to, I'm sure he will. But it seems like a great deal, and not defaulting is a win.
Mm-hmm. Do Republicans have to see it as a compromise and basically take what they can get?
I think they do, and this is a huge opportunity for an important win for Kevin McCarthy. If you remember back to January, a lot of people saw this as the make or break moment for his speakership. So if he's able to get the votes, keep the Freedom Caucus as happy as possible and make it through this, I think this will be a significant win for McCarthy.
Katey McCutcheon, Quill Robinson, thanks so much for your time.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.